Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case you're new, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. On show, we have today Randy as our guest speaker. Thank you so much, Randy, for coming in. And as always, you could probably not guess what we're going to be talking about, but let's get into it. You recently saw Demon Slayer. Let's go with the spoiler-free thoughts that you have. What was your first impression? Totally spoiler-free.
Man, well, it was amazing. It was a lot longer than I was expecting. I mean, I kind of knew it would be a bit. I knew it would be at least a couple hours, but I don't know. I didn't realize it would be that long, and it felt it, But yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed, the scale. The one thing that I was kind of really looking forward to in the movie is Infinity Castle, because reading it in the manga, you could tell, it's pretty big. I don't know, just seeing it live, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, the scale of it, and just how they did the transitions. It was just really, really big, and I kind of liked it. Yeah, I liked it.
No, it's interesting that you brought up like how the scaling and the transition has been done throughout the movies, because like for people who follow Demon Slayer, the anime and the manga both, obviously the production value that UFO brought to the table with Infinity Castle has gone up exponentially. So yeah, it was obviously very interesting and exciting to see something that we've loved so much for the last 10 years or so, and it's come out on such a huge scale. What are some of the things that you would want people to know before watching Demon Slayer? It doesn't have to be the movie, just the anime in general.
The blood. It's kind of bloody. It's a lot more bloodier than I think your typical, like even if you watch the show. I think you just got to be kind of prepared for that. And if you have like body horror, if you're kind of queasy about that, you might want to be aware of that. But I mean, personally, I would say try to watch the series so you can get a feel for it, because they really throw you in. You do got to kind of know the backstory. So
yeah, that's good though. Yeah, because like you said very aptly, like obviously it does have a lot of blood and gore. There's a lot of decapitating and a lot of unaliving that goes on.
Yeah. Yes, a lot.
How do you deal with such queasy elements of like an anime generally, or are you good with all the bloodshed that you see?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm pretty good when it comes to bloody stuff. Well, at least on anime. I should say on the anime front, because usually anime doesn't really get too disturbing. Here, yeah, I would say it really comes close though. UFO Table, like they really went above and beyond, adapting this arc. So like kudos to them, really.
So before we do move on, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'll put Randy's channel up in the details as well. Follow him because he's got pretty banger recommendations too. Randy, before we move on, what were your emotions like when you actually went and saw Demon Slayer on the big screen?
Look, I was excited, because I really wanted to see the fights play out, but I was kind of tempered. I wasn't sure how much they would adapt. Without, going spoilers, you get 3 main fights. So, I was really curious to see, how far it would go with them. And, much to my surprise, like they did go through them. I wasn't expecting to see some of the things that we would that far into the movie. So, yeah.
No, it's actually interesting that you like bring out the fact that the movie was pretty tempered in the 3 major fights. I think that's what UFO Table does best, is that they talk about everything. Like it's not just the one and done fight scene. Like if you go into the deep diving of the lore and the history, and I think that's what adds so much more character like to the anime and the movie as well. Did the movie live up to your expectations?
It definitely met what I was expecting, especially from an animation standpoint. The animation was just gorgeous. The fights were amazing. I do have my criticisms for sure, but you get what you expect when it comes to Demon Slayer. But yeah, it definitely did. I was definitely pleased to see.
That's good. You said you had like a few criticisms like to point out. If you're comfortable, what are some things that you would want UFO Table to make changes to, like within the movie?
The transitioning really kind of was all over the place for me. But it would go from like fight, boom, boom, you're fighting, and then flashback, Next thing you know, and you don't even realize you're in it, you don't even realize it. And it does it a lot. They weave it in, and I understand you have to do some kind of, you have to add in the backstory. I understand that. But honestly, I feel like they would have been better off if they added some of that backstory within the previous season. What was it, the Hashira training arc? I think plenty of the stuff that you saw within there, they could have added. they could have definitely benefited from adding some of the backstory previously, just leaving more of the fights within there. Not saying you can have any, but I think just the way they transition, because they really had to put a lot of story into the movie. And yeah, I guess that in turn follows, to me, the pacing. That's why the pacing kind of just felt kind of wacky. It was like a stop and go, like good fights going on and then stop. It goes to another scene, with another character. There's so many times it does that, and it just felt kind of disorienting a little bit, just because you are moving in between. There's probably no graceful way to do it, but I feel like it could have been done a bit better.
That's fair, because I feel like a lot of people who did watch Infinity Castle also had the same thing about pacing. But I feel like when I think of Demon Slayer as an anime in general, just the series as well, I think it's just the way they've done it, even in the series and not the movies per se. I think even in the Mugen Train arc, but the Mugen Train movie too, the pacing was more or less similar, I think, with Infinity arc, because they did go into the flashbacks and they kind of emphasized on each Hashira's or each Demon Slayer's soul. They talked about Rengoku's fiery spirit, and then they spoke about Tanjiro's soul. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I do agree with that though, because you're full on into a fight and then flashback. So it does get a little disorienting.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said about Mugen Train, this isn't their first rodeo. They definitely did it in Mugen Train. But I think what Mugen Train had the advantage of is that the story was a bit more isolated, because it was just having Tanjiro and his boys and Rengoku in there, and so you could really get to know Rengoku. And I think that was one of the reasons why that one was such a hit for people, because you really fell in love with Rengoku, learn his fighting spirit and just everything about it. Infinity Castle, they did do a lot of that. They just I think they just had more they had to deal with, because you have 3 different fights going on, so you gotta weave it in somehow. So
actually, some very good points. Like you said, you have to weave in those fights somehow. You also have to give a humane story for the demons as much as you possibly can, for better or for worse, I think. But I think overall, it seems like the movie lived up to your expectations. It was, it was worth the wait for, following that lore for so long. For somebody who has just started watching anime, or for a very casual watcher who's known anime, probably not for too long, is this an anime that you would recommend?
I think Demon Slayer is one of the best stories you can really get into, because look, it's a revenge story at the end of the day, and I think a lot of people can fall behind a good revenge story. That first off, and just the way it moves, it is a slower paced series overall, so especially early on, the first season. So I think Demon Slayer is good for someone who wants to get into anime, to be able to go in and see the story flesh out in the beginning, and then you can follow along with it. And yeah, it's just gorgeous to look at. I mean, it's so gorgeous to see. The fights are amazing, and it's kind of different from your typical shonen. As far as your My Heroes and your One Pieces, they're more kind of bang bang. There's a beautiful side to Demon Slayer, as far as when it comes to the way they fight. And it's just real smooth and fluid. And I think that is a good change of pace for someone coming in, to see shonen, or anime that is kind of like this.
Interesting thought, because like you said, it's we have the Hunter X, and then we have the My Heroes, and then we have Naruto, we have One Piece, where the protagonists are obviously very, very different. Maybe Naruto and Luffy probably a little more alike than, but when it comes to Tanjiro, yes, like Luffy, he does have a very kind soul, but Tanjiro's got a very different way of showcasing that kindness, with people around him. So yeah, they're definitely loud and clear. It's this. I do agree with the fact that you can definitely introduce this to someone who's just started watching anime, or someone who's just getting into it.
Someone was like, "Did you see this subbed or dubbed?"
I saw it subbed.
Oh, you saw subbed? Okay, same here. Same here. Yeah. So I'm curious to think, because since we're on the same page, plan to see it dubbed or?
To me personally, I am a big subtitles girl. I love anime with subtitles, I think, because I'm able to feel the authenticity of emotions from the voice artists. Not to say the dubbed versions are bad,
Yeah.
But it's just that somehow, when you translate from a language to English, a lot of things get lost in translation, right? Like including the verbiage, the usage, the tones. For people who enjoy dubs, yeah, absolutely, you do you, because I understand that not everybody has that sort of privilege to sit and watch it in one place. Dubs are useful when you're like walking around and you want to listen to people talk,
Right,
and
right.
without actually seeing the screen. But yeah, personally, I'm a big sub girl, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I like to sometimes, it depends on me, not all the time, but like sometimes I like to watch, since I have seen the series both subbed and dubbed, I like to see how it differs between the two. So I'm curious, maybe one of these days, I'll go check it out dubbed for sure. But part of me feels like the fact that, Demon Slayer is so polished, overall, that you probably won't get the kind of differences that you would on some other kind of series. And I hear Channing Tatum is in it, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Channing Tatum from the dub game, and I was very surprised to see that. I'm like, me just watch the dub just to listen to him talk. But yeah.
That kind of, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember, what was it, Boy in the Heron? I saw that dubbed as subbed and dubbed, and yeah, having Robert Pattinson, man, he was like perfect, man. He was perfect as the Heron.
I shall check out the Boy in the Heron dubbed version, because if it's Robert Pattinson, I'm sure he's going to do a fab job out of it.
He kills it. When do you think the next movie is going to come out?
Well, as per sources, they're saying 2027 for part 2. But genuinely, honest thoughts, I would want the new movie out like yesterday.
I hear you.
Because, like, towards the end of the movie, for those of you who've seen it, you obviously, like, see both Tanjiro and Gyu, and, like, Gyu is just aura farming to the max. So, and if I were to go by the timelines for part 1, like, they released this one across the world in various different, like, dates and months, right? So, I think if you're North America based, I'm assuming and estimating it would be somewhere around the same time of September 2027. But if you're in other parts of the world, like Japan obviously got it first, so maybe sometime around the same timeline there. But I'm going for like the second half of 2027. And I know in North America, they had opened the tickets bookings like a month well in advance. So if you're going to be watching it in 2027, I'd highly recommend that you book your tickets well in advance too. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm kind of torn. I'm not sure. Like, I mean, obviously that it will be probably like around the same time, probably maybe earlier. I'm kind of hoping a bit earlier in the year. I'm hopeful.
Like, I'm hopeful too. Like, it was just left at such an interesting point. So I am sure, like with UFO and the unlimited budget that they have, they probably already started to work and probably in the conclusion phase of things. I'm not sure. But hopefully they release it sooner rather than later for all of us Demon Slayer fans.
Oh yes.
Yes.
So what was your favorite scene?
There's so many of my favorite scenes that I had. I think for me, the most favorite scene that I had was Giyu complaining, saying, "Well done, upper 3. You push me, my back hurts, it's a minor inconvenience, now you're gonna have it." That is by far one of the best iconic scenes I remember. And then the second one was Muruta. I think he was like a lower level Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't like. He actually took ownership. He's probably one of my favorite characters out of all the Hashiras, like barring aside the Hashiras. Sorry, Murata was like one of those dudes who just kind of pulled through. Like he's weak, he's pessimistic, he complains all the time. But when you see him pulling through, that is also like one of my iconic parts where he uses, I think, water breathing too, and then he kind of goes and beheads a demon.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Gyu is amazing. He's great. He is so awesome, especially what was it last the Hashira training arc?
Yeah.
When Tanjiro was learning from him, it was bugging him, and like they have a good rapport. I really love Tanjiro and Gyu's rapport. I think that's like one of the most underrated parts about Demon Slayer overall. They bounce off each other really well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's just it's a very interesting dynamic because like Gyu through and through is an introvert. Like he doesn't want to be bothered at all. If he had it his way, he would have probably, beheaded Muzan like yesterday, got in his way, like, listen, I need my space and time. And Tanjiro is a total opposite. Like he's kind, he's considerate, and he kind of is a very social butterfly in like the entire series too, right? Yeah, definitely, like you said, they bounce off each other very, very well, given they're such contrasting personalities. I think that's also also one reason why they get along so well is that.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah, my favorite scene, like you, I have quite a few, but one of the ones, so quick, but the flashback with Tanjiro's father with the bear, just seeing Tanjiro's father enter the transcendent world, it was just so fast, like the way he killed that bear, and then Tanjiro's just like at first he's thinking like, my dad's gonna die, what's happening, but the emotion from Tanjiro's perspective, and then next thing you know, it's over, bear's dead, and he's like, wait a minute, I need to do this, I can do it, I can figure this out.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
it was just such, I don't know, it was just, they did it really, I think they did that really well. I love how they did that. I really enjoyed that scene.
Oh, no, for sure, absolutely, yeah. The bear scene, that also was like, oh my god, that's, when you see Tanjiro, when he's with his father compared to obviously without his family, he's only got Nezuko with him. You do see a good progression of character in him. Like, Tanjiro obviously could have been very bitter and said, screw y'all, I'm not joining the Demon Slayer's corpse. Like, what are you here for? But instead, he actually chose to take that grief and anger that he had. And it's, like, very interesting because he didn't even have time to cry for his family. Like, he was just processing that, his sister's turned into a demon and she's doing her best to not eat him alive. So, that watching both of them transition into, like, the siblings that they are in the Infinity Castle. Not that Nezuko showed up, but, like, watching them transition into the siblings that they are, from day one to now. Very, very well done. I think big props to the author for characterizing and fleshing out everybody that well.
Of the 3 fights, what was your favorite? What was your favorite one between them?
It's a tie between Shinobu versus Doma and, like, when Gyo goes solo against Akaza, when Tanjiro's still, like, trying to regain her senses and trying to understand. I only say that because I feel like as short as Shinobu's fight was, you could see the effort that was put into Shinobu's breathing techniques. Like, whether it was, the last dance that she does, the centipede dance, whether it was just her, trying to bust up Doma with a broken left lung and broken ribs, might I add. She, like, you knew what was going to happen to her and you knew there was a plan Shinobu had in place. So that, and obviously the Gyu versus Akaza, while it's not scripted in the manga, I think the techniques that, Gyu went all out. Like, he used all of his breathing forms and, it's just very interesting to see the fact that Gyu just activated his Slayer mark because he was mildly inconvenienced with, like, his back hurting and he was made to talk. So I would put it a tie between Shinobu and Gyu.
Yeah, I would say my favorite of the battles was definitely Shinobu and Doma. I really liked seeing Shinobu really give it, her all, especially because, she is definitely of the Hashira. She is the smallest, she is definitely the weakest. She can't even, behead a demon. So, it's kind of sad. But, seeing her, she's always been able to, she's always crafty. She's much more craftier than the others. And she's been able to, get to the Hashira rank, despite all that. So that's pretty impressive. And especially because, her sister didn't want to say she shouldn't really be doing it anyways. Yeah. But, just seeing her battle against Doma, I believe he's number 2, right? He's number 2.
Yeah, he's number 2, yeah.
Right, he's number 2. So yeah, just seeing it, even though it was kind of a losing battle for her, she didn't give up, Oh yeah. That end scene, talk about body horror, how Doma absorbs her, that was a hard watch. Not gonna lie, that was a hard watch.
Yeah, it was. No, that scene broke me. Like, I was like, no, my shit. Like, I knew it was coming, but I just wasn't prepared for that part of, like, watching Shinobu being absorbed. And to the point where you said, like, Shinobu is definitely, like, the smallest of the Hashiras. But also, a lot of people don't give her credit for how intelligent she is. Like, she is creepy smart. Like, she's probably, like, 5 steps ahead of every damn demon that you could think of. So, while the other Hashiras do have strength to their credit, but Shinobu is, like, she fights with her brains. Like, she's creepy smart, and I will give that to her. Like, hands down, I'll give that to her.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's definitely. You rank IQ levels. I think she's right there.
Yeah.
Top top of the Hashira ranking. But yeah, that would definitely be my favorite battle overall. The Zenitsu battle, it felt kind of like sporadic to me, just because it was just kind of like, yeah, they know each other, they have the history, and he just kind of made up a move essentially, And while it's cool to see see Zenitsu kind of, do that and to not be whiny for once and just kind of push through, I don't know. It was fine. I didn't hate the battle, but I don't know. It was just kind of like, to me. I don't know. What'd you think? What'd you think of Zenitsu?
It was nice to see Zenitsu finally awake for one of the fights. So I'll give him that. I'll give our boy credit to that. Also, I think while Zenitsu may only know the first form, he did invent a seventh form for thunder breathing. So while he may have been annoying, I personally found Zenitsu annoying throughout the series with all his whining and his crying. For what it's worth, I think the Zenitsu battle was more of a stopgap arrangement that led up to Giyu and Tanjiro taking on Akaza head on. Could they have done the flashback a little bit better? I think so. Compared to Shinobu and Giyu's battle, I think Zenitsu's fell a little flat. But not to say it was a bad one, animation-wise. But it just felt a little flat in terms of emotions. I was crying when his grandpa said, "I'm proud of you, you're my pride and joy." Yeah, I was absolutely bawling there.
That was a great scene.
But yeah, battle-wise, it fell a little flat there.
Do you think this movie by itself is compared to the other arcs in Demon Slayer so far? Where would you rank Infinity Castle?
So I think for this movie, I would give it I'd put it a number one spot because it's very fresh for me. And obviously, UFO Table has outdone their budget. Hands down, one of the best series or sessions I've seen in Demon Slayer when it comes to animation, sound quality. Pacing wise, it's probably been more or less the same, whether it was Mugen Train or whether it was the Hashira training arc or the Entertainment District arc, any of those. Pacing wise, I would say it's still been the same. So yeah, this is number one for me because it's very fresh. If I had a choice, I would probably forget that I saw the movie and go watch it again.
Yeah, that's fair. I would definitely put this up there for me. Personally, I love the Entertainment District arc. I think generally just because I like Tenzin. Tengen. Yeah. He's great. He's one thing I think that really, or would be even better that would make the series best, is if he was still fighting. I would love to see him battle against these upper class demons. I think it would be great to see him in this movie fighting and going against them because I think he kicked butt. But yeah, I don't know. I really love the Entertainment District art. I think he's just such a great Hashira. I like the flamboyancy, the craziness. He's just awesome. But I think I would say that. But I think this movie is definitely solid too, for sure. UFO Table, they really killed it when it comes to animation. They went above and beyond. Even what they did in Mugen Train, that felt revolutionary. And that was only 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And the fact that, we see this whole Infinity Castle, the moving parts, it continuing to get bigger, to be able to, see the crows moving. The one scene, even though it's a pretty simple scene, seeing, remember when Shinobu gets killed, right? And the crow is telling Tanjiro and Blinky while they're running, that she died. And just seeing that scene, seeing them kind of running while the crow is just, saying this to everybody. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy, just to see kind of all the moving bits of this movie just happen. Because you just got a lot going on, and they really do show kind of the different Slayers, the lower level Demon Slayers, them trying to map out the whole Infinity Castle, while showing it. It's just, I don't know. I really do respect the heck out of them for making this movie as grand as possible. And it really does give me hope on how they are going to adapt the rest. It really does. But I know I kind of went off tangent a bit, but overall, it still is just to me to say, yeah, this movie is like a solid 2 for me. I don't know if you realize that Infinity Castle is number 2 on the highest grossing anime of all time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Which is number 1? Who's number 1?
Mugen Train. Crazy, right? Crazy, yeah. So that kind of brings me to a question. I'm curious, do you think it's going to pass it?
I'm confident it's going to pass it. I mean, I'm not sure how big a, like, what the margin is like for Mugen Train versus Infinity Castle's total revenue collected so far. Where I am confident that people like me who would want to watch the movie again would probably be contributing more.
Fair.
And I'm hoping it does, because obviously the point of watching anime or any movies that you generally like or a series that you like is that the sequel or the prequel does better than its, predecessors or successors, right? But yeah, I'm hoping it does, because UFO Table has put in a lot of hard work, and it's probably not just a 1-year hard work, it's over a span of years they've put in all that budget.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree with you. Agree with you 100%. I think it will. I mean, it just came out last week, so yeah. I mean, it's gonna have. And before I even go into it, like, let's just anime, man. Like, seeing anime in the theaters. I mean, I remember a time when you could get, like, laughed out of the room for like an anime, And the fact that we have it on TV with other Hollywood movies is amazing. So, first off, kudos to anime. But seriously, yeah, I think it will pass it for sure. It's still early on, and honestly, I think this is what Demon Slayer is going. I think this is going to be the case for even the other movies. I mean, the fact that the next movie comes out, a lot of the people who want to watch it, there's always new anime fans coming out, right? So there's going to be new fans from here until the next one comes out, who've seen the series and have caught up to, everything. So I think it's going to just continue to go up. So while this one will be the current one, will be current number 1, I think the next movie will be the top dog when it comes out a couple years from now, and then the final one will be probably the top after that. So yeah, I think that's just the Demon Slayer effect.
Oh, no, it's interesting that you got at the point where about 10 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined anime to be such a big craze that it is right now in today's day and age. Not even 10, like maybe 15 years ago. I remember I started watching anime when I was like 11 and 12. Like, it started off with Pokemon and Beyblade and, Cardcaptor Sakura and Inuyasha, all the fun stuff that came out in the early 2000s and the early 90s. And like you said, like, you'd be laughed at. Like, what are you watching? This is not meant for you. But I'm just genuinely so happy that anime has caught up so much. Like, there's so many people who are indulging in anime, whether you're in your early teens or your late 30s or your late 40s or even early 20s. A lot of people are seeing value that anime brings. And yeah, sure, it's not just flashy fights, right? There's a lot of good learning that you get, like whether it's One Piece or your Naruto or, even Demon Slayer. There's always some learning that you have from each character that you identify with. And I think with the current trend that anime is currently riding on, hopefully, Infinity Castle Part 2 surpasses even Infinity Castle Part 1 or any other movie that comes out, provided it's got like a good storyline. Obviously, storyline is of paramount, all said and done. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. Yeah, and I kind of mentioned this earlier too, as far as like anime movies, because like a lot of anime movies for the longest time have always been your specific standalone kind of thing. Like, but I really do like that Demon Slayer kind of popularized. Hey, you're gonna watch this series. So now watch our movie, in theaters. It's a sequel. Go watch it. Watch this next movie. I really hope that other anime follow this trend. I mean, Chainsaw Man's doing it soon with the Reze arc as well. Yeah. So, we're starting to see it happen a bit more. But I would love to see that continue. Like, have these anime just branch out. While you can watch the series, you can watch the movie, kind of like a mini universe kind of thing spawn up from that. So I'm hopeful on that part, especially because Demon Slayer is really the first people to kind of like do it to such a big scale.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I do agree with that because I know, like, along with Demon Slayer, One Piece has also released a lot of movies in like the last couple of years. Like there was One Piece movie Red, Stampede Rush, I think it was called. Yeah, and I think along with that, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero also came out with a movie. So yeah,
Mhm.
anime is definitely like picking up a lot of speed in terms of going into theaters, and I'm hoping that, like you said, a lot of standalone, it doesn't just have to be a series, a lot of standalone production houses can definitely put that up, like, with incredible characters, stunning effects and designs. I'm hoping that things pick up. Yeah. Okay, before you do go ahead watching the video, don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe. We have Randy with us. We're talking about Demon Slayer. Second segment, we've covered a lot of spoilers, so in case you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie and then watch our videos. So
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
Yes, I do have a couple of questions for you, Randy. I'm going to just obviously rip the band-aid off and ask you right off the bat. What was your reaction to Shinobu's death?
It was heartbreaking, because it's gonna happen, right? And I think I was hoping, because after reading it, knowing it's happening, I was hoping maybe the anime would do something different. I was like, maybe there's a little bit, in my mind where it might actually not happen and she'll just come back, boom, kill Doma and just like everything all good, But the fact that, it did happen, it was hard. It was a hard watch for sure. Just knowing she was fighting losing battle, it really did kind of like suck.
No, I mean, I agree with that. It was quite a rough watch, especially like, when you watch her introspect asking, like, why are my hands so small? That question just kind of broke me. I was like, oh no, like homegirl is asking all the right questions.
Yeah.
And I think the most iconic moment for me in the Shinobu fight was when she sees her sister, like Kanae, coming in, and she's like, you said you want to win, you get up and win. Like there's no BS about it. Kanae is just straight up, giving Shinobu some tough love, saying, yo, you said you want to do it, you go ahead and do it. So I think that was definitely a very defining moment for me. And it was very clear that you could see the bond that both Shinobu and Kanae had with each other. But yeah, Shinobu's death, right in the first 20 minutes of the movie, I was like, no, I'm not prepared. So.
Ooh, and I will say too, seeing her younger sister come in. Remember when she was running in and saw it happen?
Oh yeah.
She just screamed, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I almost cried at that point. Yeah. I was like, "Ooh, my goodness!" Dude, to get there and to see, your sister like just get gobbled up, against somebody, like it would inspire me to step up like 10 levels, go Super Saiyan 10, like I'll do what I can, But yeah,
absolutely. No, I agree with that. Shinobu. I still don't take Shinobu's death very well, so
completely understandable. Completely understandable. Like I don't think I'm still the same. It's been a few days, marinate, but I'm still,
I do have a question. So who's your favorite Hashira and why is it Giyu? No, just jokes aside, but who's your favorite Hashira out of everybody?
I would definitely say it's Tengen. I mean, he's even though he's not really a factor here in Infinity Castle, he's always been my favorite. He's just, I love the flamboyancy. I like how he knows who he is, and like, yeah, sure, he's a bit overconfident, but he can back it up. He's tough. He's real tough. And you really see it in Entertainment District Arc. So if you haven't seen Entertainment District Arc, see it. It's definitely the best arc in Demon Slayer 2. But he just really he backs up everything that he says. Because when you first see him, you're just kind of like, man, this dude feels like he's just all talk, You really do. But when he goes against the two demons, it's like he really backs up and like he's like nails to the wall. Like it's a rough battle. It's not easy, and like he's he's given it every percent that he has in him to stop him. And he's just great. I think he's a great Hashira. He's definitely my favorite. Yeah, I'll definitely say Gyu's at the bottom. No, Gyu's right there. He's great. I love him. He's so talented. He's I love the introvertedness of him. He's just like, hey, I'll do my thing. Just leave me alone. I got you. I got it. But no, for me, I would definitely say Tengen. Tengen.
Yeah, no, fair. No, no. Tengen is like, for what it's worth, like you said, he does back his claims up. Like, he's not
Yeah.
just all talk. He is able to, like, listen, I'm telling you, I'm doing it. So he is going to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And not to forget his 3 wives that he's got.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He does have 3 wives, Like,
Man's living the dream.
living the dream, I guess. Yeah, he's living the dream.
Now that we know Akaza's backstory, how comfortable do you feel in like letting go of the fact that he played a big role in Rengoku's death?
Part of me, I when it first happened in Mugen Train, like I can never forget it. I was like, Tanjiro, kick his butt now, like kill this guy, kill this demon, kill Akaza, like kill him, but he wasn't strong enough, obviously. But like, I don't know, part of me like can't forgive him ever for it. But there's a slight after seeing the story, seeing his backstory. Because look, I mean, he had a rough life, He had a rough life. And like, I mean, especially when you're gonna get married, you're about to be married, you're gonna have a new life. You found people, you found a family that, you can live, spend the rest of your time with. After all this heartbreak early on in his life, he's finally found it. And then some other people, just go and kill your family, and for just a reason of like, hey, you guys are too strong, like it was rough. And I mean, I'll say that the fight scene too, when he was killing all those guys over there, insane too. That was an insane scene. But yeah, so part of me does give a bit of it definitely gives more clarity to Aksa for sure. At least knowing the fact that he did have a rough life and he kind of forgot that, and because he's a demon, and he does get some of that humanity back, especially at the end of it, I can kind of forgive him a little. Only so much though, because Rengoku's still the man, and kill my boy. That's my boy too. So it's like, yeah. So I can only go so far, but the fact that he does get some of his humanity back, I can appreciate it. Like I said, like I'll give him a little bit. But only so much.
That's really fair. No, I understand where you're coming from, because like, yeah, sure, he's had it very rough, like you said, right? Like nothing was going his way. His father was very sickly. He was branded a thief, and he was given tattoos to show that he was a thief. And then he finally found some sort of purpose and some sort of normalcy in his life. And then the rival dojo just decided, nah, fam, you're too strong. Like this doesn't fly with us. That way is, yeah, I definitely understand. But does it mean that I pardon what he did to Rengoku? No, absolutely not. But I am glad that he could get that sense of closure with his fight through Tanjiro. Because what's so interesting about Tanjiro is like he tends to bring out the best in people.
Yeah, I think that's so. Yeah.
Whether it's through fights or through flashbacks, like even Muichiro, like he was so opposed to Tanjiro, but because Tanjiro comes across as so kind and so warm, Muichiro also like changed how he thought about Tanjiro, right? So I think that way is, all thanks to Tanjiro, he was able to bring back his humanity, so to speak, and he was reunited with Koyuku finally. And I was like, okay, I mean, some sort of peace he deserves, but not 100% rest in peace. So yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chatter where Tanjiro explicitly calls out and says, Akaza, I'm going to behead you, with people saying, why did Tanjiro do that? What are your thoughts on that aspect of the fight?
I was like, what are you doing? But you know what? Like, that's Tanjiro, that's who he is. He's that type of guy. Even though, like, he had the complete stealth move there, Like, he could even sense it, And the fact that he goes out and, like, calls out, his attack, essentially. It's like, so Tanjiro. It's really so anime, Anime loves, shonen especially love calling out their attacks and things. But Tanjiro specifically, it really is a him move. That's just how he moves. And I think that's just one of the things about Tanjiro that, you can appreciate about him as a character. Because I know overall, like, Tanjiro as a character, him as a character is just, like, real good. Like, too goody two shoes, He's a goody two shoes. For a lot of people, it can be like, blah, whatever, who cares kind of thing. But I don't know. For me, I like his charm. I think the fact that he is, like, a goody-goody, He just wants to he's always going to be there for his friends, the people he cares. Like, he met Rengoku, like, for what, like 5 minutes before they were already, going into battle. And, it's like his best friend. It's like he knew him forever, He has that effect on people. And I think that's just an extension of that scene, just how he is. Because, like, I think at that moment when he was calling out to Aksa, he respects him. Like, he doesn't like him, sure, for what he did to Rengoku, but, like, I think he does respect him to an extent. So that's why he called out that move, because he's like, look, I'm coming to get you. Like, we're doing this. Like, I figured out how to beat you. I'm going to do it, and I don't think he had, like, any other intent, anything else behind it, other than just that, because he's a simple character, too. So, yeah, I don't know. I find it perplexing because, like, I want an advantage, if I'm going to go in and sneak and behead him, I'm just going to do it and that's it. But, that's Tanjiro. Like, he doesn't care about any of that. He's just like, look, we're fighting. Like, I'm going to kill you. Like, it doesn't matter how it looks. And actually, to think about it, that reminds me of a scene in, what was it? In Hashira Training Arc, when he was talking to the Stone Hashira. Remember that moment they had? He was training under him, and he was asking, I think the Stone Hashira was asking him about the Swordsmith Village arc.
Mm.
Nezuko saved, remember Nezuko saved kids from them? Yeah, yes. When he did that, and that's when the Stone Hashira, he was asking Tanjiro, oh, thank you for helping, save them, and everything. And Tanjiro was like, I didn't do it, that was Nezuko. And he was just being straight up honest. And I think that's just Tanjiro in general. He's just so good, and so honest. And I think it's charming because you don't really see, like, a lot of characters that are just real goody-goody, just real honest, yet they can kick your butt, because, like, characters like that are usually, like, the first to go.
I feel like a part of it, like what you said, was that it's a part of his charm, right? Like, that's just who he is. That's just how he is. And I think that other than that, like, he was thinking about how to beat Akaza because he knew that Akaza doesn't like dishonest fights. So if I guess if Tanjiro hadn't called out saying, I'm going to behead you now, maybe, just maybe, both of them wouldn't have had a chance to survive Akaza's move. Like, Akaza would have definitely come back and saying, screw y'all, you played unfair swords, So that's probably some part of my reasoning why. Like, yeah, sure, it was a facepalm moment. Like you said, it's a stealth move. Like, why would you call it out? So,
Definitely. I'm surprised, like, they didn't have, like, Giyu do his, like, his face, when he has that face where it's just, like, straight, the eyes big and everything. He's just like, I think they did early in the movie, too. Yeah. But, like, I'm surprised he didn't do that when he did that. It was like,
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, Tanjiro is a very pure character. Like, that boy has so much kindness and compassion. Like, in today's day and age, it wouldn't fly. Like, it absolutely wouldn't. But I think that's what has saved him and Nezuko so many times, is because he's so kind, is that, all the Hashiras rally around him eventually. Yeah. Movie-wise, top-notch, very well done. There was, like, transition-wise, obviously, like you said, could have been done better. But given that's how Demon Slayer has been paced throughout the 10 years I've been following so religiously, pacing-wise, all good. Music also, like, at least in the theaters that I was there, like, I could feel the seats in the floor move with every vibration.
Yeah. That actually, you bring a good point about that. Yeah, the music for this movie was amazing, and the sound effects too were really good. Just like the I believe they were playing the kodo. Mm-hmm. Like in the back, I remember when he was just pulling the string, pulling the kodo, which they do show it in the manga. It's just like bling, that they just play it. They're just like, just playing the one string for it. Like, yeah, it was like, there's a haunting, like, kind of feeling, especially early on in the movie when they first go into the Infinity Castle. Like, it was really, it's real something. It was real something. Yeah. But yeah, I love the sound effects.
Oh yeah. You've seen Inuyasha, right?
Yes.
Do you remember by any chance where, Naraku also goes into like a womb sorts when he's trying to get himself together?
I do remember that.
Yeah, so like I feel like the last scene towards the end where they cut off with Muzan in a how do you say it, like a cocoon of sorts. that last scene really reminded me of Naraku trying to resurrect himself, like
Yeah.
through whatever efforts. And I was like, hey, that's very Inuyasha style, where the
Mhm.
gang is all after, like, trying to collect jewel shards to make sure Naraku doesn't come back. So yeah, that definitely like, gave me a lot of flashbacks to Inuyasha. And also there was this very popular meme that I was seeing on Pinterest where it said Naraku ran so that Muzan could run, which honestly is true. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, I can see that. I definitely see the parallels for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
And it would be like Inuyasha, was it Rumiko,
yes,
the
Takashi.
mangaka? Yeah,
Yeah.
for like she's iconic.
Mhm.
That you're gonna say Yashira. She's done some iconic anime, so it would not be a surprise, that the creator of Demon Slayer, like she got her inspiration from her.
Oh yeah.
She's iconic. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think we also like overlook the fact that this is like an all out war. Like I'm talking in terms of Hashira deaths. In an ideal world, yeah, we would love none of our Hashiras to die, obviously. But given that it's an all out war against, the demons and the Hashiras, it's more or less like a casualty of sorts, right? Like in a battle, if you look at in a battle, in that sense, yes, people are gonna be unalive because it's not practical that in an ideal world, yeah, it's practical that people live, like everybody lives, but then ideally, like in today's day and age, if you're looking at battles, yeah, it's not very practical that all the characters that you love are going to continue forward. Sorts.
Yeah.
But I am one thing though, like I am genuinely happy that the mangaka gave everybody their happy ending, like towards the end of the manga. So, you can, if you've read the manga, you'll like, no, Mitsuri and Obanai have their own happy ending. Gyu's descendant shows up. I'm sure there's something good for Shinobu also. I'm forgetting if she's done anything like Shinobu for like reincarnation wise into the modern day and age. But yeah, I think as salty as I was with Hashira's dying, I can live with that ending in the manga.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't seen we've seen a tiny bit of what's happening.
Yeah.
But there is so much more, and honestly, that's part of what made me wonder, like, how are they gonna adapt this this series, this final arc, really? Because like, there's one we haven't really seen yet, Inosuke, so,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what he do. But because he's underrated.
Oh yeah.
Cool character too. I do like Inosuke. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he doesn't get a lot of the screen time. That honestly, like Zenitsu, I think is a bit on screen too much personally for my taste. I don't think we see enough Inosuke though. He's awesome. He's awesome. Like
I feel like with Inosuke, I think the fact is that he's so crass, right? Like he's rude, he's straight up, very straightforward. But with Tanjiro, he's gentle. He's straightforward, but he's gentle too. But Inosuke, like, given that he was raised in the mountains among wild beasts, I'm not surprised that's how he comes off as. Again, like, I'm happy that Zenitsu wasn't like a whiny crybaby in this movie, as we've seen him in the previous arcs and like the previous movies too. Very good character development for Zenitsu there. Inosuke, yeah, I wish he had a little more screen time other than him just poking his crow, asking him to lead to an upper moon. So.
right.
But yeah, overall, I think very well done. It's a top-notch movie. No complaints. The only complaint that I have is that we have to wait until 2027 to get the new movie out. But for those of you who are waiting for like the new series, definitely do go check the manga out. I know there's been a lot of complaints that Demon Slayer is being milked for its worth. But if I were Ufotable, I would milk the hell out of that manga.
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, yeah, because like one thing I will say about the manga, personally, I feel the manga. I feel like she kind of rushed it, personally. There's a lot that could be done in the world still that, we don't really get to see. So yeah, I don't blame Ufotable for like, trying to milk this. It's a great story. It's a great story. And I mean, I would love to see some kind of spin-offs or some stuff brewing in the series if we could. When it's all said and done, I think that would be cool.
No, of course, no, for sure. Like with the mangaka part, I understand where you're coming from. Like it was a little rushed, but then also I feel like manga artists in general don't have a lot of time. Like like you have to put out art week after week after week and still retain the same essence of what you started off with when you first started creating that manga. So I understand that sentiment of, oh, it was rushed, but also I understand that the mangaka had a lot of deadlines to meet. And if those deadlines weren't met, then obviously the anime deadlines are not going to be met. And if the anime deadlines are not met, the movie deadlines are not going to be met for Infinity Castle. So in that sense, I understand, but also I understand both sides is what I'm trying to say. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely could see it. Especially from her standpoint. I guess from the greedy, reader point of view, I'm like, you know what? Look more, why thrust us into Infinity Castle so soon? We were just getting through the training. I was like, oh, cool, this is great. And then it's like, oh, Muzan. What? We're already in Endgame? What? We're in Endgame now. What? This okay? Yeah. But yeah. So, but I do gotta ask you. I mean, what are your thoughts? Because we don't see Muzan. I mean, we know he's Lumen throughout the series, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think of Muzan Kibutsuji as a villain overall in the anime?
Okay, so with Muzan, I think as a villain, he does a fabulous job in the sense that he doesn't get his hands dirty at all, throughout. He sends the lower moons, he sends the upper moons to, destroy Hashiras, destroy families. He turns people into demons through upper moons. So in a way, he's very cunning that way because he doesn't really do any work. He's just y'all do all the work for me. I'm just going to be resurrected and y'all are going to, be smoked after that sorts. So in that sense, again, it's coming back to Inuyasha with Naraku because Naraku has been that way. He'll create demons out of his own selfish whim and then do away with them when he finds no more use for them, right? So yeah, as a villain, I think he's very well written because I absolutely loathe him. He is a despicable character to exist within the anime verse, which goes to say that, she's done a fabulous job in writing his character. That's what I think of him as a villain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm kind of on a similar view with you. I will say the Michael Jackson smooth criminal look, I love it. I do love it. I'm a big Michael Jackson fan, so I do love that fit. I wish I hope we could see that again, but I don't think so. But anyways, he, like you said, I do think he's a pretty good villain. He doesn't really get his hands wet. You see most?
Yeah.
Yeah, Johann Liebert, similar kind of thing. I don't think Muzan is as terrifying to me as Johann Liebert because I think what makes Johann so terrifying is the fact that he really does manipulate people, and I think maybe because they're actual people, so it's different when it comes to demons. Demons, they become once you become a demon, you're part of the whole thing. You're just kind of sucked into it. Doesn't matter. But it's kind of easy. But I think what I like about Johann is he's a person, and he's a serial killer. But he gets these other people to do his work, to his bidding, and he's he comes across as just hey, I'm just, just a normal dude. I'm pretty cool. He's charming. You don't think anything. If you walk by him on the street, you wouldn't think, okay, this guy's killed a bunch of people, So going back to Muzan, you don't see him much, but he does have that same calmness. And just I'm planning this out. I've got my strategy. I think the fact though that we don't see him do much and he just has the demons, his levels, his hierarchy take care of it is kind of missed opportunity. It would have been nice to see him. I don't know what it would look like, but I would have liked to at least see him kind of get his hands wet a little bit more personally. At least in some situation.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think in that sense, though, that's probably where Naraku was different. In the sense that Naraku came out more he had more screen time in Inuyasha, except that obviously when Naraku was in a cocoon trying to get himself together, But Naraku definitely had more screen time. He showed up proactively, listen, y'all not getting ish done. I'm gonna be there. And that's interesting that you draw parallels with Johann Liebert. Because, like you said, Muzan is not terrifying because you know he's a demon. His motive is straight up, like it's very straightforward. This is what I
Mhm.
want. I want to be immortal. I'm going to get it done, however. But with Johan, you don't know his motive. Like, you know, he wants to murder people.
Yep,
But that's what makes it more terrifying, right? Like, he's a living, breathing human being, and you're like, oh, it could be any person that you talk to.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but I feel like overall, with Demon Slayer personally, I feel like my love for anime came back 10 years ago because I was like, yo, this ish is damn good. Like I'm happy to be a part of the fandom all over again. What are your thoughts on that?
When it comes to like anime, I've been pretty much in it, pretty
Mm,
much since over long years,
yeah,
decades.
yeah.
Well, at this point, so it's been I've been watching it pretty consistently. But I will say there's something special of Demon Slayer. I think it's just because it does have such a simple story. When you have like a simple story, especially like a revenge one, like it really will. It's like the easiest part to get you hooked in. And I won't lie, like the first like half of the first season of Demon Slayer was kind of par for the course. There's many moments where I kind of was like, why am I watching this for real? I'm gonna be real because like it's kind of droll in the beginning, but when you get to episode 19 specifically, but even a bit early on when he meets Rui, once that whole part starts, things really ramp up, and I think that really like sold me and made me realize, yeah, I made a real good choice sticking around, because like the story was great, and like I read the manga like right after Mugen Train because I was like, I just want to see what happens. I just want to know what happens. So it just kind of like pushed me through the rest of it. But yeah, I think while I won't say Demon Slayer is like the best anime I've ever watched, I think it's definitely one of the better ones. Kind of like how Attack on Titan was for me. Like that first episode kind of like hooked me through, even though it had its ups and downs. But that first episode hooked me. But like Demon Slayer, once we got to like that second half of the story, like it hooked me in, and like I have really no qualms about the series, really. I mean, I like all the characters. I don't know, I really do have a love for Demon Slayer that's just different than any of the other anime I've watched. It's hard to describe, but it's really something special, and I'm just glad we're able to stay in the world, even if for a bit more longer.
But yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that fact because I feel like Demon Slayer has definitely left such a big impression on everybody. And I think one of the reasons for that is how simple the story is. Like you,
Yeah.
you have the Kamado family being slaughtered by the demons, and then Tanjiro goes all out protecting his sister. Nezuko goes all out protecting her brother. What I really like about Demon Slayer, it's not just all bloodshed and like unaliving demons and people. It's also a lot of emotions that have gone behind it. Like if you remember in the first part, with the spider arc in the first season in where they get caught in a spider's lair, right?
Yep.
Nezuko gets caught in the spider web, and then Tanjiro's about to die, and then Nezuko, like the mom comes in saying, "Nezuko, wake up! Your brother needs help."
Mhm.
That was my turning point with Demon Slayer. I'm like, yo, this is actually pretty great. Like it's been able to evoke a sense of emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that part where Tanjiro, he's about to behead Rui, and then he realizes that Rui has like given up on battle. He switches his form mid-air, so it's a merciless, it's a very merciful death for her in a way. So again, it's just the way the characters, like I said, Tanjiro is pretty average. Like to us, he's a very average human being. He's a 13-year-old boy who's lost his family, who's got nothing going for him. He's only got his sister to protect. But the 13-year-old boy has immense compassion and kindness, and that I think alone is what gives him strength to pull through a lot of situations. And because he's been able to, tap into that kindness, he's been able to help out Tengen, he's been able to help out Shinobu, he's been able to kind of, be there for everybody in that way, yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, and that's what makes Tanjiro so special. Like the fact that anybody he comes across, you can't help but gravitate towards him. Or you can at least help but like want to be a better person. Like even the bad guys, like anybody he comes across, like people see it, and I don't know, it's just that sense of compassion, which is like really kind of like nice. And on that front, you said about how Demon Slayer is more emotional. I think that's a perfect word, and I think a lot more kind of going in a broader term of anime in general. Like you see it with like My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Like, now we're kind of in the end game there.
Yeah.
Like the emotion, like even early on, you get a hint of it, because Midoriya, he's quirkless, things like that. But the fact that it gets much more emotional by the as close you get to the end of the series as we are now, and the fact that modern anime are adding that element of emotion, I think that's good to see. Demon Slayer has that uniqueness though with the character, their central character being the force that drives that to everybody else. And I think because he is just uniquely charming and just good and honest, that has an effect for the whole series. It kind of sets the whole tone of the series. And I think that's just what makes Demon Slayer such a special series. It really does.
No, that's true. Yeah, it's being able to evoke emotion in like the short sporadic bursts that it comes out with. Inuyasha, for what it's worth, it's ran for like 164 episodes, at least the first part, and then 26 episodes in the final act. And then they have Yashahime, I think, where it's about Inuyasha's daughter.
Yeah. Yashahime, oh my gosh, yeah. She's something else. But yeah.
But I think it's incredible that, considering Demon Slayer and every other anime that we've seen so far, whether it's My Hero Academia, whether it's Hunter x Hunter, One Piece, Naruto, Boruto, Demon Slayer, I think it's incredible that any anime that you watch, the animators have been able to get a sense of emotion from you. Like, whether that emotion is disgust when it comes to Muzan, or it's or it's that emotion of like pure joy when you see Luffy being Luffy, or whether it's just an emotion of what is going on in this storyline sorts. Like, it's that emotion is constantly there with every show that you've seen. And for what it's worth, I know, I was reading a report recently where it said that Japan is like mass producing so much anime that a lot of them are average and mediocre at best. So I think that's also partially why Demon Slayer stood out so much, is that obviously when you see so much so quality coming out, and then finally one thing that comes out, it's got a pretty basic storyline, but the animation hits you right in the feels. I think that is why Demon Slayer also stands out so much.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean the state of anime, which could be its own like episode, honestly, for real. Just seeing how much anime we see in a season, is insane. We get like 30, 40, 50 new ones a season. It's crazy to think about. And like 70% of them I don't care to watch for sure. I mean, even like, I would really say like even this past summer season, it's probably the best in terms of like, hey, we've got a lot of good shows coming out that you will like for sure. Yeah, I think that's what does make like Demon Slayer stick out more.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, this has been so much fun, Randy. Thank you for taking the time out. I know it's a Friday evening. We'll probably be doing something else if not for this, but thank you so much for your time.